Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Pelletieri, and I am a career and business coach for creatives. I focus on feel-good action steps, honest money talk, and getting into energetic alignment with the things that you most want. I created this workshop originally for Valley CDC in Northampton, Massachusetts, in the United States, as part of a series thinking about how we can step into our power and our confidence even when imposter syndrome is showing up. I've noticed that so many of the materials around imposter syndrome assume that there's this magical point in which we don't feel like an imposter anymore. And this workshop is really geared towards a more compassionate approach. How do we take action on our lives and go after what we want, even with imposter syndrome? And how do we make space for it, which often just feels a lot better to our nervous system and to ourselves. So I'm really excited to share this with you. If you have any questions, please reach out. I always offer a 20-minute free session just to talk human to human if you have any questions. So here we go. And just give me a moment to get this set up. Oops. Always takes longer when you're noticing everyone else is watching. Here we go. All right, so today we're going to be talking about tackling imposter syndrome, how to shift from fear to flow. And again, my name is Beth Pelletieri, and I do creative business and career coaching. This works for everyone, although it is geared a little bit on the business side. So, my face might be in the way. So my name is Beth. As I said, I work on business and career coaching for folks around claiming their unique gifts and strengths, talking about money honestly and openly, and creating feel-good action steps with ease and flow. And I really often feel like an imposter in what I'm doing. I came from working in nonprofits, and so really growing my business and working with other businesses took a little bit of stepping out of imposter syndrome or working with imposter syndrome so I can figure out how to do it my way. And I even feel like an imposter talking about imposter syndrome because often in workshops we feel like there's this pressure to take what we know and sort of professionalize it. And so I just want to honor all of that and and honor whatever you're feeling stepping into this space with me today. So as always, I like to lay out some ground rules for the workshop because I think it's nice to know what the container has in store and how to make it feel good for you. The first is that this is a buffet. So as in any buffet, you just take the food that tastes yummy to you. So take the takeaways, the action steps that feel yummy to you, and leave the rest. They're for someone else or they're for you at a later date. You don't need to integrate everything. Also, we do our best when we feel successful. So notice places in your life that you don't feel an imposter and build on that sensation. Oh, look, here it's really easy for me to do this. How can I take those skills and experiences and manifest it in a new way? And finally, you have your answers, so use them. I truly believe that. So I found, I spent a lot of time Googling different definitions of imposter syndrome, and this one was my favorite on BetterUp. Imposter syndrome is a condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally despite being high performing in external objective ways. This condition often results in people feeling like a fraud or a phony or doubting their abilities. And really, this is the definition of self-doubt, right? Which is often part of our growth when we are stepping into new ways of being, new moments of clarity and confidence. Self-doubt is going to be a natural byproduct of that space. And especially if we have a lived experience about being excluded or not feeling like we're supposed to trust ourselves. So I want you to take a moment and just, and this is from a workshop, so there's no chat, unfortunately, today, but take a moment and think about what imposter syndrome feels like to you. When you're feeling an imposter or stuck in self-doubt, what do you notice in your own lived experience? And if you want to take a moment and do these journal prompts in a journal or something, then you can just pause the video, but I'm going to keep moving because we have a bunch to cover today. So often they feel like self-doubt, feelings of unworthiness. There's often shame, this idea of that we'll be excluded or everyone will laugh at us, procrastination, dread. Sometimes we get like really fidgety or antsy. And sometimes we just feel this sort of collapsing feeling, right? That we're just not good enough or not worthy. So when you feel like you might be an imposter, what thoughts show up in your brain? So that we have the feeling, the sensation of imposter, but what is the story, the narrative that accompanies your feelings when you're stepping into imposter? And it might be helpful to think of something specific, either in your business or in your work, where this, or in your career journey, where this is showing up. Sometimes that's around money, sometimes that's around a promotion or a leveling up. Or sometimes that's just about getting our message and our voice out into the world. So some of the thoughts that I've heard from clients are someone else could do this better. I have to know everything about this in order to be good at it. I am bad if I'm being too confident or too visible. I shouldn't do it. It's probably not a good idea. I'm going to say the wrong thing and everything will be ruined. This very like binary or black and white version. And all of these are just about self-doubt, right? They're this idea that we are not enough or our voice, message, experience is not worthy. There's this really powerful statistic in career coaching, which is that women or folks of color apply for a position when they have 100 or 90% of the credentials, and white men in general apply when they have 30 to 60% of the credentials. And this is this idea that we have to do it perfectly. And not idea, sometimes it's lived experience, but this, but that we have to do it perfectly in order to be enough, that we are on our own not worthy of what comes next. So the next question is, how do your actions change when you feel like an imposter? And this is from Claire Josa, who is an imposter syndrome expert. If you really want to dive into some of the research on this topic, I invite you to look her up. But she talks about these 4 Ps: perfectionism, paralysis, people pleasing, and procrastination. And often they all come together. So for example, in creating this workshop, I spent a lot of time procrastinating, right? I noticed maybe myself, I built out a whole new part of my website when I was supposed to be working on the workshop, or I started to notice all these imposter syndrome experts. And I thought, why doesn't Valley CDC hire them to do this? Why me? Right? So we have this idea that our version of it is not enough and that someone else could do it better. And sometimes we experience all 4 of these at the same time, or we might have a couple that are our favorite way of avoiding or struggling to step into what comes next. Now, I think it's really easy to give imposter syndrome sort of a bad rap. But the truth is, our nervous system is self-protective, which means that most of the time when we're feeling blocked or stuck, it's not because we're doing it wrong. It's because some part of us is trying to protect us from getting it wrong, doing a bad job. And so I think it's really important, especially when we're thinking about imposter syndrome and our growth edge, to think about why it's helpful to feel scared when we're doing something new. And so some of the reasons that imposter syndrome is actually helpful is it keeps you safe. It keeps you from being vulnerable with your business or career. If you are staying the same, it is safer than growing. It keeps us from self-trust so that we don't make a mistake or get laughed at. It makes sure everything is perfect so that when we do take a step forward, we know that we've done everything perfectly and no one will ever be upset with us. And it keeps us, or me, out of uncertainty or experimentation. Imposter syndrome is a big old wet blanket on creativity and courage, because we can't move forward if we can't step into uncertainty if we're not allowing ourselves to experiment. And that's why imposter syndrome isn't personal. It feels deeply personal when we're experiencing it because it feels so about us. I often have clients being like, I can't do it because of this. This part of me is what's keeping me from what comes next. And often, if it wasn't that part of you, it would be a different part of you, right? Or in one client, it looks like researching all the time. And in another client, it looks like, I don't know, cooking a huge dinner for their family. Right? It's not personal. We all do it. It just manifests in different ways. And that whenever we want to differentiate, grow, and take our skills into the world, we're going to activate a healthy amount of anxiety and fear. So you're not doing it wrong. I think that's so important. And that's actually how we get back to self-compassion, self-trust, and self-love. So instead of working against imposter syndrome, I'm going to teach you how to work with it, how to assume it's going to show up when you're trying to do something hard, and how to play with it or be kind to it when you feel like it's keeping you from your next big thing that you want to create or do. And of course, coaching can bring you back into alignment while further strengthening your sense of self-trust. And sometimes that's coaching with a professional like me. Other time that's calling a best friend or a coworker that really hears you and sees you and can help you navigate this growth edge that's feeling really uncomfortable and scary. So the first step in working with imposter syndrome is to plan for it, plan for the fear. One of my favorite metaphors for this is if you make a fist and then you try to pull open the fist, your hand that's the fist gets even tighter. It like really doesn't want to open. But if you have that same fist and just put a gentle hand under it, and I invite you to do this exercise with me, your hand, the fist hand, immediately softens. And so when we're feeling self-doubt and then we fight against it and we create more resistance, we are actually creating more suffering for ourselves. And the gentler way is to soften. The second is compassionate friend. I really, and maybe even as part of this workshop, invite you to write a letter to the part of you that's scared as you would a best friend. Sometimes we can take a moment when we're feeling grounded and safe and calm and write a letter to ourselves being like, hey, I get that this is scary. I love that you're taking the risk. I'm here with you every step of the way. Let me know how I can help. We are so much kinder to our dear friends than we are to ourselves. And this exercise of compassionate friend really gives us the opportunity to soften and allow for the fear without trying to fix it. Sometimes, too, we might need to notice if it's our now self that's feeling afraid or a younger self, even if it's from last year. Sometimes we have a younger self that something scary or difficult or rooted in scarcity did happen to them. And they're the ones that are feeling like this isn't a good move. And so we need to take care of them. This could be with a therapist or with a coach, but we need to offer them love and safety so that they can let us move forward in a way that feels kind and also safe. And all of these kind of activities give our nervous system a chance to catch up to our dreams and to what we're trying to create. The second step in working with imposter syndrome is shifting the energy before you take action steps. Often we sort of jump into action when we are noticing imposter, and then that almost creates a yo-yo, right? We like take too many action steps and then we sort of need to recover and then we take more action steps and it feels like just a roller coaster. And so this is an invitation to make the path a little smoother. So first, you're going to reconnect with pleasure, which is this idea of taking up space with joy. Get yourself a fancy coffee drink. I don't know, do your nails if you like that, or put on your favorite earrings. Do things that make you feel like you in a pleasurable, enjoyable way. I have a client who loves gardening. And so whenever they're feeling stuck, they garden, right? Because it brings them back to the roots and to joy and to pleasure. The other thing you can do is listen to fiery music or watch movies with courageous characters, reminding yourself of your capacity away from the outcome that you're trying to create. This is really about detaching from the outcome and just reminding yourself of your power. The other thing that sometimes we can do is find energetic mentors or a new sense of belonging. Sometimes we feel alone in our journey to create change in our lives, and that's why a coach or a best friend can be helpful. But sometimes there's a role model that really speaks to us, or a character in a movie, or someone that we kind of want to embody some of what they energetically carry with them. And this is an invitation to bring in some new sense of belonging and a new frequency for yourself. And then 3, we're going to shift into action. So we're going to come back to that action step and we're going to do it with grace. So finding supportive accountability, maybe creating some systems or some structure so that when you're doing the thing that's scary, it feels safer. Picking consistent small action steps instead of big jumps. Getting into energetic alignment with your growth before you take an action step. lowering the stakes, and as I said, creating systems, time blocks, all make it easier. Systems make our nervous system happy, and that means that we feel safe. And then 4 is redefine your growth edge. Claim the growth you're going after. Show your mind, body, and spirit what you achieved. Often we grow into something new and we're immediately on to the next thing. And this is a beautiful opportunity to celebrate, to claim success, to rewrite the narratives for yourself so that next time you have a growth edge, it's easier to take action steps. And really writing the story of what you're capable of. So rest, celebrate, and onwards, my friends. This is a quote that I love. It's just a reminder that when we're going slow or safe, it's not forever. So go safe to go slow slow to go smooth, and go smooth to go fast. So here are sort of some invitations to play with this with something that is feeling like an imposter syndrome-y moment for you right now. I invite you to pick something small and something that's a little charged, but not maybe the most charged, because it's easier to play with new concepts when it's small and easy to sort of wrap your mind around. And you can go through these 4 steps. Step 1, plan for fear and resistance. Step 2, shift the energy. How are you going to shift the energy? What is this new energy that you want to step into? Step 3, take action steps that are small and consistent. And step 4 is redefine your small talk and really celebrate your successes. Now, I invite you here to pause the video and take a little time and work through this exercise on your own. And if you have questions after working through it, or if you're getting stuck on this or any part of the workshop, please do take a moment and book that free session with me. I'm happy to talk through your own imposter syndrome energy or where you're getting stuck on reaching your growth edge. This imposter syndrome is just an invitation to bridge the gap between what you've been told you're capable of and what you're called to create. And that is actually very exciting. So here again is my quick pitch. You can schedule a mini session with me. You can join my email list. I have blogs, upcoming events, more workshops, and follow me on Instagram for business topics and career tips. All right, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for stopping in and doing this workshop with me, and I'll talk to you soon.